Hi everyone, Lisa Haven here. Well, Project Mockingbird is still alive and well in the United States. Now, if you're not familiar with what that is, basically it's the CIA or intelligence community working with the media in order to propagandize the American public. Now, what I have today is going to basically prove that and hopefully wake up America to the mass corruption within both CNN and MSNBC, and hopefully they will cease to exist. And what I mean by cease to exist is that people will turn off their televisions and no longer listen to these two mainstream media news sources because they are under the banner of the CIA, FBI, and the deep state. That is exactly what they are, and we shouldn't take their news seriously. So let's just dive right into that report. So let's start first with this article on dailycaller.com. 15 former spooks who work at CNN and MSNBC. Now, this article was written by Chuck Ross, August 23rd, so very recent. But it goes on to state that McCabe is the 10th ex-FBI or CIA or intelligence community officials that CNN has hired during Trump's administration, according to Daily Caller News Foundation. MSNBC has followed behind them closely, having hired 5 former officials, including former FBI Director John Brennan. Now, before I get into the list of all the people, I want to read this particular comment because I think it's important. But Jack Schaefer, a media critic who writes for Politico, noted the potential pitfalls of the network like these two, having stable ex-spies, keep that in mind, and G-men as paid on-air contributors. But the downside, he says, of outsourcing national security coverage on TV spies is obvious, he wrote in an article at Politico. They aren't in the business of breaking news or uncovering secrets. Their first loyalty, and this is no sham, is to the agency from which they hail. In other words, if they hail from the FBI, that's where their loyalties stand. If they hail from the CIA, that's where their loyalties stand. Glenn Greenwald, an editor at Intercept who covers national security issues, also echoed this in an interview with Fox, and he said this: and not only did MSNBC and CNN use those people as their sources, they hired them as their news analysts. So if you turn on CNN or MSNBC, it was basically state TV. It is what everybody should from now on call CIA TV. Again, this is basically Operation Mockingbird alive and well. Operation Mockingbird is a large-scale program of the U.S. CIA that began in the early 1950s and attempted to manipulate news media for propaganda purposes. It funded student and cultural organizations and magazines as front organizations. Listen, Project Mockingbird, as I said before, is alive and well, but it's taken on a new form. Instead of it doing funding and attempting to manipulate the news, they are now putting their own people in there. Let's just throw in former CIA and FBI people so we have it all covered and all propagandized. So basically, they're using the media against the public. This is why you should turn off anything from CNN, MSNBC, NBC, and the like, because they are controlled by the CIA. Here's proof of that. Let's start first with James Clapper here. Most of you know who James Clapper is, but he is the Director of National Intelligence under President Obama, former President Obama. There, what does he do now, or what has happened? Well, he's in league with CNN. Let me scroll to that. In August 2017, CNN hired Clapper as their national security analyst. Clapper expressed his support for CIA Director Gina Haspel. So there is that. Moving on a little bit, former top FBI official Andrew McCabe, who is, again, FBI Deputy Director, who sparred with Trump, is now joining CNN as a news contributor. Now, that's another one. He is basically their law enforcement analyst, and he is a former FBI deputy director there. But he's not the only one. Also, James Baker. Now, James Baker is a former FBI general counsel, and he left the FBI in May 2018 because he was under criminal investigation for a leak to the news media. Hey, let's just hire the leaker, right? So he is a CNN legal analyst here. Moving on a little bit, Josh Campbell. Josh Campbell is a former aide to James Comey. And this article by Daily Caller: why did CNN hire Comey's former assistant, Josh Campbell? Good question. Probably because he worked for the FBI. Moving on a little bit, Ashad Rangappa is a former FBI special agent. You can see that's right here, and she is now a CNN news analyst. She's not alone. Moving on to the next one, Stephen L. Hall, retired CIA chief of Russian operations. He is basically the former CIA Moscow station chief. And now, as you can see, he is the CNN national security analyst there. Here's another one, Philip Mudd. If you're not familiar with him, he is a former FBI and CIA official. And basically it says here that Philip Mudd is a CNN counterterrorism analyst. He joined the CIA agency in 1985 as an analyst specializing in South Asia and the Middle East. Now keep in mind, these are all recent ads to CNN. He's been with the CIA for a number of years, but now these are recent ads. I'm not even getting into the history of CIA and news organizations. I'm just saying and showing you what's happening now. But again, here's one more hired by CNN, and this is James A. Gagliano. He is a former FBI supervisory special agent. You can see here he's with the FBI, and he is now a CNN law enforcement analyst. There is another one. So those are all the ones hired by CNN now who are advising CNN what to say. Can you imagine why CNN just so happens to tip in favor of the deep state, to tip in favor of the political left, of the intelligence community? Maybe because everyone they hire, that's exactly who their loyalties lie. You hire a CIA, that's where their loyalties are going to lie. It's the deep state working with the mainstream media, and the two have become one, so to speak. But let's go on to MSNBC, who comes in second for hiring the most former FBI and CIA directors. Of course, we have John Brennan, the latest addition here, a former CIA director. He is now a senior national security and intelligence analyst for NBC News, or MSNBC News there. Brennan's not the only one. Frank here is another. He's a former FBI assistant director for counterintelligence. And here he is, NBC News national security contributor here. You can see his bio there. Moving on, Chuck Rosenberg. Now, he's former chief of staff to James Comey in administration of the Drug Enforcement Administration. He is now an MSNBC contributor here. You can see that. Moving on to Malcolm Nance. Malcolm Nance is a former naval chief petty officer, and he is now with MSNBC here. And you can see New York Times best-selling author, but MSNBC and NBC. And finally, Jeremy Bash. Jeremy Bash is a former CIA chief of staff under Obama, and now he is an analyst for NBC and MSNBC, as you can see in his little bio here. So there you have it. Why give a time of day to either CNN and MSNBC when we know that basically a majority of their news analysts are linked with the FBI and CIA? Now, I didn't even get into Anderson Cooper, who we all know his CIA links and deep state community links, and he's not the only one. Any media that basically has all their ducks in one pond, so to speak, are not anybody that we, the American people, should trust. You see, because they're obviously not after what's at stake for America. They're bought and paid for by the intelligence community, by the deep state. Stay far, far, far away from any news organization who has funding coming from one side or only hires certain people on one side. Anyhow, I've known for a very long time that CIA is working with the mainstream media. We know that, and the FBI. I've known that. But a lot of the times it's good to rehash some of this stuff and show you the latest and greatest, because if I don't show you all these 10 different people that are now 10 for one news agency, 5 for the other, if we don't continue to bring that to light, America will forget about it. And that's what I don't want. I don't want America to forget what's happening. And that's why I'm going to ask you, please share this video with everyone you know. How else would anybody get the information? It's not going to get out. CNN isn't going to talk about it. MSNBC isn't going to talk about it. Fox News isn't even going to talk about it. They all have deep pockets, and they're in bed with someone. Unfortunately, I miss the media back in the day when they actually cared about you, the American public. And I don't know about you, but I'm sick of being someone being fed propaganda 24/7. I'm just tired of it. Anyhow, again, please share this video because I'm not getting recommended, and check your subscription. If that bell isn't clicked, you won't get notified of my channel at all. And I know a lot of you are still don't have that notification button clicked. So please check it and subscribe at lisahaven.news, my website there. And also please don't forget to check out my partner at hidewithlisa.com. If you don't have a VPN, I would highly encourage you to get one, because really it's nobody's business what you look at on the internet. And that's what a VPN does. A VPN is a lifesaver in multiple countries abroad, like China, and many people are using that as basically to help combat some of the censorship that they're having in their country. So check it out right now and get one today at hidewithlisa.com. And they've got amazing discounts there. Anyhow, thanks again for tuning into my channel. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.